and just blowing people up. And again, having to consider something like a BKB in this game, which is not optimal for a lean, but certainly necessary when you're playing against that Night Stalker. I think overall, though, you are happy on Aurora with this draft, and we do have some good luck, have funs, good luck, have fun babies from Palos, and about calling Palos a beast carry.
Uh-oh.
Time to pay back, Armel. I
23.
left the game. Oh yeah,
What's
that's
Armel
exactly what Armel said. That's exactly what he said. I won't crush you too hard so you won't be replaced by 23.
Oh, you love it. Good on you, Armel. I mean, we'll see if he can back up those. There's some fighting words, Jonathan. Fighting words from Armel. We'll see if he can back those up. Going to be a smoke out from Aurora. Palos will not be smoked. He'll just hang by the mid lane, handing out high fives here to Cox.
That's all they need. Kukuys flags flying at mid. That's all that matters to them. Look at that beautiful face of the master himself.
Indeed it is. No real fight to break out. The smoke allowed a nice ward on the right side of the mid lane, on the Radiant mid lane, but that's about it. Bounty Runes, it's gonna be practically an even trade, but still manages to get his one down to the bottom side. They were not able to swipe it away. So pretty even start. Of course, we are starting as nighttime because we do have the night rain for jabs, which is why I think Night Stalker has so much of an easier time these days. So you can just start at nighttime and it just feels so much better to lane. Get those initial levels up, and by the time daytime hits, you don't really care anymore. You're fine with it.
Yeah, you're just alright and just farming back up in daytime anyway. You're trying to build into your initial items. What matters is just surviving through the lane. I'm keen on seeing what sort of ideas you have here on the side of Kukuys to try to slow this down. Again, it's not very offensive when you've got Phoenix and Morphling, so you should just be looking to sit back, try to build up farm on a bot, try to mitigate some angles out, especially as Jabs approaches level 3, 4. That's where things can start to get spicy with Q at, say, level 2. Just chain stuns into a little bit of a chase down. Lead to some nice opportunities, especially if Ponyo or a bot overextends. We'll see if that shapes up that way down the line. For now, farming-wise, a bot is still alright in the first few levels, and that should maintain for a bit. You're taking a look, a little bit of a chase from Joel, dragging the creep wave around. Does have the mind flayer. He will snipe. What did a bot do? Why was he... okay.
It was more... Jabs went Crippling Fear level 1. So Q just landed a stun. Jabs casually walks in with Crippling Fear, and it's actually... like, you don't see it very often, but it works.
Yeah. I see it. I see the problem with 362 HP fully agied up. A bot is...
It's...
playing on edge, as you would.
Well, now he'll have to play on edge, because, I mean, that's pretty standard, like, playing on very low HP, but I don't think he was quite anticipating level 1 Crippling Fear from Jabs, as Jabs will move in again, onto the Phoenix this time, but oh, the Hex is out. Ponyo, can he make it? He can. Fairy Fire will be enough to create the space for him to Icarus Dive, but you're seeing the issues here with this bottom lane. Is one Earth Spike or one instant Hex onto a bot, and suddenly you're just kind of dead.
Yeah. And it's not like Crippling Fear is that expensive of a spell for Jabs to throw out 50 mana for that nice little silence. A bot's just going to have to try to measure himself out. So already a strong start for Aurora, as you would want to see it for those guys. Up top, a little bit of a chase down onto Cox as well. And this lane is also not the smoothest of times here for our Mars. There is a lot of output from Ollie. And you're laning with a Nyx. Of course, Joel's just going to be trying to get some pulls. Mind Flayer creeps, play a little bit greedier. Leads to a bit of a slower time for good old Cox. At the least for Cox, you know, he does have a little bit of room to just soak EXP solo, but you're not going to be pressuring onto Palos anytime soon. And a free farm DK is a little bit of a terror. He hits a timing on Blink, he hits a timing on maybe Armlet or SNY, and you're set to take over that game right quick, as that hero tends to do.
It certainly does. Armel at the very least mid lane having a pretty good time. Arbit about 8 CS behind Armel, but this is to be expected. Not an easy lane matchup here for Arbit. Armel really dishing the harassment out as much as humanly possible. Arbit gonna kind of be relegated to just waiting for the creep wave to get underneath his own tier 1 tower to be able to farm at the moment. I don't see any support rotations happening anytime soon either. So it could be a bit of a rough mid lane here for Abed to get things started, as bottom lane, Earthspike going to land onto Ponyo, into the Hex, and now the Crippling Fear, and Abed from a mile away with the Boulder Smash will clean up the kill. So I suppose that's one way to deal with the CSing issue in mid lane, is just come down bot and snipe a kill.
Yeah. You're giving space out to Armel, but again, you don't really have presence here. Anyhow, you're happy enough to get some activity out on Abed. And as long as he hits some level strides, you're still somewhat fine on the Earth Spirit. He's not really able to try to pressure on the double water runes, though. Once again, they already get an early move out from Joel to at least ensure one rune for Armel. A 0-2 start for Aurora. And all things considered, outside of mid, everything else is starting to feel pretty good here for them. The safe lane of Palos is basically uncontested. You are having an outstanding time on jabs, and this is something almost similar to Execration with Aurora, but we always talk about jabs as well. It feels like a lot of times for him and his teams, it relies on him kind of having a good start. If he can ride through the first 5-10 minutes of a game and get off to a decent start, he will pay back that momentum sevenfold for his team. And so far, again, there's just no presence from Kukuys in their lanes, both bot and top. Again, their lineup's just a little bit more passive. They're forced to just kind of play farming game up top because they have that Nyx. And down bot, they can't contest the Night Stalker in the first initial nighttime.
Abed in trouble. Nice juke on the Impale, but there's no TPs incoming here for the mid-Earth Spirit. He will go down. A very awkward ward there as well. I think Abed maybe misplaced that, but it is what it is. It doesn't really matter. Nice rotations here from Kukuys to ensure the Earth Spirit is not going to have a bit of a comeback here in this mid lane. It's looking pretty rough for Abed.
They've held him back quite well. Again, this is coming at the sacrifice of your side lanes, right? Like, your farm on a bot is a little bit slower. He is matching Palos to an extent. Your farm on Cox is taking a nosedive in comparison. Not as bad as Abed's, for sure. Still not what you're used to seeing from the offlane Mars. So all of these movements are kind of coming at a cost. They're just playing where they're strong. And their only strong lane is that mid. You do have the Laguna Blade ready to go on Armel as well, if they can land some sort of connection onto Abed for back-to-back kills. See if the rune plays in their favor as well. Are in position, and Armel will get one sneaky shield rune for himself. Not the best in terms of trying to set up for a kill, but does allow him to maybe go for a deeper dive if wanted. But again, it's all down to this Lina kind of setting tempo, because you need that recovery on the Mars, you need a recovery on the Morph, at the least for Jab's daytime. You know, again, he's gotten good impact from his first nighttime. Daytime, he's got the levels to just be fine and just farm up into the Echo Saber, more than likely tanky enough with double bracers and phase boots to not get insta-gibbed. So, yeah, it's just the power of that Night Rain. It's a fun one with the duration changes as well. That's going to make it a little bit topsy-turvy later on in keeping track of day and night. Still, I think if you are Aurora, you're just happy. You're chasing down Cox again up top as well.
They sure are. Cox. He's going to be okay. He'll survive thanks to the stuns out from Jewel, but certainly not able to continue this lane, as Palos is still just taking over completely here on this Dragon Knight. So he has a red dragon form as well, so going to have a lot faster farm with that cleave. The one saving grace right now really is the fact that Armel's had a great old lane. And in fairness, Bart's not doing bad either. He's pretty much on parity with this DK. So I'd say in some sense, Kukuys is actually considering the laning stage. They're kind of ahead right now. So laning stage-wise, you'd call it a win for the Radiant side. It may not matter in a few minutes once both sides start getting a little bit more active. In fact, they're going to go active right now because they will commit a smoke in the mid lane. So Abed wants to try and rotate with his level 6 timing. And it's where they'll go up tops where they'll see Cox very soon.
Radiant are scanning. Radiant's top
Scan is very nice though. So Cox very well aware that they're coming. Abed gonna roll up to the staircase. Does see Cox in the end. Enemy missile will connect. Here comes Palos to help out. And well, Jewel, he came in, but he's just gonna be another kill. Save a buddy syndrome, not gonna pay off this time, as Abed does get a double kill for himself.
And that really helps the Earth Spirit to just catch up. We were talking about the atrocious start for Abed. 2 kills, catapults him way beyond now on Cox, and that we're just right behind a bot. 400 gold behind. Still a significant amount at 8 minutes in, but not going to stay that far apart for too long. They managed to siege onto the tier 1, maximizing that commitment out, and the side of Kukuys can't really do much about it yet. We were talking about the power of this draft kind of being tied into this team fight potential as well of Arena Egg. You're still a ways off until Ponyo starts to hit that level 6. He is clearing out some stacks, which you can get done with the Phoenix, with the Fire Spirits, but not quite enough damage to fully clear it out. Just enough to kind of be a nuisance on it, at the very least, and take a couple of creeps for his own. Still, I think Aurora, they're in a pretty happy position. You've got a free lane for Jabs once more. He is going for the Phylactery, probably into the Conda, just a little bit of a slow on the chase down with the Void. Does have the Dark Ascension ready as well. For Abed, Magnetize is going to be coming off cooldown in 20 seconds. The Blade Mail is the first item to come out as well, as you tend to see on that Earth Spirit. And again, despite the slower laning start, he's kind of closed that gap. Meanwhile, for the side of Kukuys, we haven't really seen Armel start to swing around into other lanes. He does have the Travels up. They are looking to make some TPs bot. Maybe an opportunity to play with his first arena ready on Cox. It's just that there is vision from Aurora, and that could just be wasting a lot of time here from the side of the Kukuys.
They're going to be set on Ponyo. Or maybe not. Ponyo's moving back in. They've got vision, although a nice Icarus dive. Q didn't feel confident enough to go for the Hex first. Just couldn't get within range, but they're still in anyway. Jabs, the Dark Ascension can catch up rather fast, and well, he's even maybe going to find the Morphling Courier at this rate as Jabs still going. They do at least trade with Ponyo, so it's not a free kill by any stretch. Jabs now needing to find his own way out of here as Armel's on the chase with Laguna Blade available. Looks like he's going to be okay. But at the very least, Kukuy is able to, even out the trade a little bit and not make it quite as good. In fact, maybe now, though, Cox to get caught. Jabs is behind. TP's incoming. And that'll ensure that Jabs cannot just keep moving forward. Though here comes Abed. He'll say thank you very much. I'll take care of it. And Cox should just die to the Magnetize, and so will Ponyo.
Some clean aggression from Aurora. Again, they're making use of these early spikes they have, making use of this offlane weakness right now in Kukuys. Like, there is just nothing to play with just yet on this Mars. And again, you don't have the levels to be a menace on these supports. Joel does have Vendetta, but you don't have the Phoenix Egg ready to go with your Arena combination. All you're getting out of this is, again, just you're trading all of this for farm on Armel and a bot. And that farm is still free-flowing. You've got room to shove in bot, equalize map control just a tad bit. Again, you have the Travels ready on Armel to start to show around the map. Is slowly making his way into the Ags timing of that carry, of that mid Lina that we tend to see. And it's really once you hit that Ags, that should align with the level 6 of Ponyo. I mean, he should have his 6 well before that point. And then you can start to think about a little bit more coming out. You do have to question if you are giving too much space out to Palos. As this free farming DK, we've seen this just take over games if it's allowed to. Armlet already up, Mask of Madness not too far off, and Free Reign up top as well for our DK. Uncontested in farm, is managing to just constantly trade places with a bot. It just feels like the DK's timings are a little bit quicker than the Mort. So there is a nice spike for Aurora lined up as long as this tempo stays the same on that safe lane.
Well, mid lane's being forced in though, but will take it himself. Aurora not feeling confident enough to try and defend this as bottom lane in the meantime. Dark Ascension being forced out because Jewel was looking for a stun. Cox and Armel around the area as well, but Jabs wants to stick around and maybe go for a fight. Ping's coming out. He seems to want someone to join him. Do they know that Armel's there? They certainly do. He's under vision. Jabs getting caught in the arena now. Here comes the help from Ollie, but Jabs is still in a bit of danger. He'll just fly his way out. Now a Bart joining in as well, trying to chase down Ollie. Hell, even another, and the Phoenix joining in. So now 5 are here from both sides. But nobody's dead yet. Roll in, Arbit, a nice Magnetize, landing onto Armel. Armel dropping low. Magnetize will refresh, but now the turnaround onto Palos. So Palos proving to be quite tanky with that armlet. Still gonna die as Armel is still running. Jabs will eventually find him. And does take him down, but it's still a very good trade here for Kukuys as now. Well, Ponyo does get caught to boot. They'll even find Coxie with an Earth Spike. Nice impale though from Jewel. Will force them back a little bit. Cox still in danger. Bart's still playing around with his strength, does take down the gyrocopter, but Cox is going to drop. As now Jabs moving back in onto Jewel, but Jabs now needs a way out. They'll land a greater spike onto 2 heroes now, so Abed will secure a double kill. And yeah, complete chaos down at the bottom lane, but it was a 2-for-4 trade in favor of Aurora.
I mean, it's just a little bit messy from the side of Kukuys. We saw Cox kind of drop the arena only onto one, couldn't even land the spear onto Jabs. He is highly mobile, of course, with all the move speed he has on Dark Ascension. But that cuts it off from the rest of the team fight. Again, you're forcing these fights really early from Kukuys. You are about to hit 6 on Ponyo, but you would have loved to have the egg at that moment. It just doesn't line up that way, and Aurora make use of these weaknesses in the big way once more. Your output in a bot isn't quite high yet, just the Manta alone on Morphling Force doesn't lead to much. At least it's going to be a little bit harder to try to go for the burst play on him with all of the added stats he has. And despite the kills on Aurora, despite this 4-11 lead, 1k net worth is not much. Right? You're still in control here with Armel on farm, you're still in control with a bot on farm. You're only really hurting right now on Cox. But we've seen this a couple of times in, you know, some past Mars games. Once you hit a Blink, maybe a BKB or some utility on hand, if a Eul's perhaps, if need be, then you're still doing your job on the Mars. It's just a matter of riding through that slow point until the Blink is up. And it does feel like, for the side of Kukuys, they're doing a fine job in holding back in that. Tier 1 for Tier 1 trade. Big difference is the mid falling for the side of Kukuys much earlier, so they have a little bit more reach for that extra mid Tier 1 take. A little bit more influence in the jungle if they so wish. Aurora, though, are just hugging down bot. They have a nice cliff ward, relatively forward, is set to expire soon. But they can start to set up their next points of vision. They've got the full phylactery up on Jabs, so the chase down doesn't take too long if they do want to commit on any single hero here.
Jewel. They are having a look at Jewel. I mean, missile is going to be thrown out, but Jabs not wanting to pop the Dark Ascension underneath the Tier 2 tower. So Jewel's going to be okay. Man, while all this is happening, Abat and Armil are both farming very, very well. Like, you do have Palos right behind them in terms of the farm game, but I was anticipating Aurora would have a much easier time after that laning stage. It has not been the case. They're still allowing quite a bit of space here for Kukuys to just keep farming up. And, well, bottom lane, is there a fight to break out? I think there might be. Q's been left behind. Jules having a look around, though. I don't believe he actually scouted out the lion. So he will miss out. No kills to happen. And that actually allows the Blink Dagger to come out for Q.
Big timings being met. You also have that Blink for Cox. He's just not quite in the area to try to force a fight. You do have to appreciate the nice choke point sentries you have on Aurora. One watching right in front of the Tier 2. One right by the triangle entrance to ensure that the sneaky Nyx plays don't necessarily amount to too much here. I'll isolate out Jabs, but your follow-through is only really Ponyo, and that's not nearly enough damage either. So, just some information coming in. Perhaps with Cox with Blink, this could lead into something, but...
Gonna try. Armel's gonna TP in as well. Jabs caught in the arena. He's a tanky boy, but not tanky enough when there's this many heroes. Armel with the Ags up now, certainly having more than enough damage to get the job done. Meanwhile, though, a smoke being committed by Aurora. They'll try and head down bottom where they did see a Bart for a moment. Bart, though, realizing everyone's missing, of course, just going to look to just walk away. The chase continues, however. Does Abed see him? Not quite yet. Jewel in position to break the smoke. Abed will have his smoke broken now, but they found the wrong time. So very nice from Jewel. He'll tank the gank for a Bart. A Bart, of course, going to be okay to back out of there. And Aurora, they're going to head through the Twin Gate, see maybe if they can find Cox up at the top lane. But well, it doesn't really seem like they're going to find that either. Cox, realizing they're probably making that movement, does just retreat. So props to Kukuys again, John. I mean, they're finding ways to just completely avoid any really big engagement with Aurora. And I think that really does hurt Aurora, because you have this style of lineup that wants to fight during this time, but it's just not coming.
Oh. They also have really good rune control, amp damage to come in here for Armel. It's going to be feeling nice and happy about that one. And again, for the Kukuys, they just managed to ride through a little bit of a rougher point. A point where Cox didn't have Blink, a point where you didn't have that egg threat. Now they can keep looking to apply that pressure. Another smoke out from the Kukuys. Block off Abed's roll. Doesn't have the detection for Joel, but that should signal some shenanigans set to go. They are right outside vision range. They only spot Q under top ward. But that does, I believe, catch a glimpse of the smoke. And Joel's just off to break it. Nice and quick. Lots of value from that ward being dropped there by Ponyo, right by the tier 2.
And none of the dusts even connected. Like 2 dusts committed. Neither one connects. Once again, I mean, Kukuy is still in prime position in this game 1. Still a very even game though. Less than 1k net worth lead their way. Win probability currently at 56% for the Radiant, so nothing to write home about yet. One bad team fight will throw all of that away. But that bad team fight just hasn't come yet. I mean, Bart's working towards the Kanda now as well, and we know with the Kanda build-up, things tend to get a little bit ridiculous with these Morphlings.
It's a little bit tricky to try to play forward as Aurora as well. Even if this Nyx isn't going full offense, right? He's always able to keep track as to where certain heroes are, if there's a risk of being ganked up. Look at how look at how Kukuys are playing. They're just taking triangle. They know no one's here. They know Palos isn't hanging around the area, so no one's going to be trying to ambush them anytime soon. And they get a little bit more gold going for Ponyo that way. Even Armel's soaking some of that farm up himself. This more passive game does benefit the DK in a big way, but it also benefits the Morphling. And again, it's just a mild, awkward time for Aurora. Might be able to catch something here, though.
They may. Stuns are out. They've caught Ponyo. Hex out as well, though Abed does miss out with the roll, so the egg is still going to make it out in time.
Oh.
Here comes Cox with the arena, but it's all too late. The egg is going to go down. Jewel in the middle of all this may drop to boot on the Nyx assassin. At least Armel, though, does find a double kill on the opposing support duo, but they are still dropping more. Cox will get caught. Jab's on the hunt for another. And he might run into Bart very, very soon. In fact, he does now. Bart still looks like he's going to be okay, though. There's no backup here for Jabs. And the rest of Aurora, they do just focus on the mid-tier 1 tower instead. It wasn't the worst fight for Kukuys, but obviously not great news either.
No. Very forced out on the egg from Ponyo. Couldn't get the fire spurts out as well. Discord issues for Abed. You know, back to this excuse, which is always nice to see.
Bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm calling it.
Yeah, instant go ahead as well. Wow, that was a fast fix on Discord. Nice to see.
Yeah,
but
they've got the best.
Oh no! It's not fixed yet.
Not yet, boys. We're getting in contact with Discord. We'll get it sorted out really soon, I'm sure.
All right. So again, you saw some of the potential of that fight a while ago with the arena egg. It's just it wasn't really the best arena to kind of try to tie in the egg. Very forced egg as well from Ponyo. And again, they revealed their BKBs on the side of Aurora. So first BKB charge for Palos down, which isn't the biggest deal in the world. Kind of want to get that out of the way anyhow, along with Abed's. But it's a little bit awkward, because as the game scales on, as BKBs scale down, you just have more opportunities here to play on the side of Kukuys. And again, for Aurora, I don't really doubt their scaling. It's just, it's a little bit more awkward with, say, the Night Stalker. I feel like Night Stalker's scaling is where it's not at its best. You know, eventually BKBs will be up, eventually 4 stabs will be up, and people will have a way of kind of getting out of the crippling fear. It's not going to be as big of a threat. There's going to be a point where the Night Stalker is just not going to be as big of a factor. You're finding things right now for Aurora while this Jab's Night Stalker is strong, but I feel like if the game drags into 40 minutes, that's where things can maybe be a little bit harder to try to influence this game from that Night Stalker position. And it just becomes a little bit awkward in trying to rely on that as your be-all and all in terms of control. Whereas, again, for the Kukuys, Arena is always relevant, even with BKBs, because of how you can block right-click damage. The egg is always relevant as well, especially as the game goes on. Like, when you get your shard up, when you have more hits to be durable, this egg is going to be a massive feature in those next set of fights. And again, I'll have to hand it to Kukuys once more. I think their warding has improved since yesterday. We saw a little bit of it in the last game. We're seeing it here again. Just this nice diagonal line cutting across right in front of the tier 2s of Aurora. Right behind that tier 2 top, near the mid, right in front of it, down bot. Like, it gives such good angles for them to anticipate smokes, to try to play around Joel, who again hasn't really killed off the most heroes, doesn't even have Dagon. Just the information gathering that they've been getting has been nice. Heck, that smoke as well, I believe, caught on edge again off this cheeky ward.
Here we go. I mean, they're gonna go for something here with this smoke, but well, I mean, if they were spotted, it makes things a little bit challenging. Then maybe Ponyo didn't get the memo. Hex is out from Q, so they are gonna find themselves a Phoenix. Okay, not the biggest steal in the world. Ponyo won't really mind dying like that just to tank the smoke. At least now you know where Aurora are. And everyone else is still very safe. I mean, Abat's still free farming. He's got the full Kanda up, going towards the BKB. Armel's going for the BKB himself now. Everything's just smooth sailing right now for Kukuys. Maybe bottom lane, Palos could get caught, but it's just Jewel. It's just Jewel keeping tabs. You know. Oh, nice dust though. I guess they had the sentry. Did they have a sentry or did he just dust? No, he did just dust.
Dust? Yeah. Nothing expired right there. Yeah. Just figuring out maybe something. They didn't see Joel for a while. I think that's a key thing. The bigger one is that they managed to isolate and blow apart a bot. With him without the BKB, he can still be a sitting duck. And you are finding the bigger trades now on Aurora, while the side of Kukuys just try to consolidate this farming game. They've got a little bit of an opening for Roshan as well, and they've got the damage here with Palos on hand. Does have a Chrysalis and isn't too far off from the full Daedalus as well. Not the quickest Roshan in the world, mind you, but enough time here and not enough information for the Kukuys to even consider making a foray into Rosh. They could try to. I feel like there's some potential there if they wanted to go through the gate, but yeah, no vision in that area. It has been stuck around the triangle now. So, freebie for Palos, 2k lead coming out for Aurora off the back of that. And again, still a lot of play left on both sides. Your big issue is, despite Joel breaking smokes and doing all of that, again, the Dagon's a little bit slow. I'd say at this point, you don't even bother going Dagon 5. Like, one Dagon's fine to help soften things up, but maybe you have to start thinking about utility. You know, maybe a Force Staff, maybe a Yule to just hold back whenever some aggression comes in. Maybe even saving up for the Ags into your Burrow could be really nice as well, if you're looking for the long con. But let's see if Joel starts to shift around. There is still burst play. It's just a matter of finding the burst has not been easy in this next game.
No, it has not. We're going to see him jabs. We'll run right into the Night Stalker, but he was underneath Sentry Vision, so they are aware the Nyx is scouting around at the top lane somewhere. There's your BKB on Armel now, so he might want to make the call to go for a fight. Aurora might actually meet him down at bottom lane as well. I'm considering that Palos does have an Aegis and is starting to push through the tier 2 tower. Keep in mind, Palos is just what, like 50 gold off having the Demon Edge to finish off his Daedalus, and there you go. He's got it on the way. So it's nice timing as well for Aurora to try and force a fight, knowing that they've got a pretty big spike on their DK. Question is, do Kukuys want to force the fight? The answer's looking like it might just be a resounding no. Because they're just allowing the tier 2 bottom tower to go for free. Which is a little bit surprising. Maybe they just make the call that we wait for a Bart's BKB before we get going. There's Cox's BKB. Problem is now you're losing the mid tier 2 tower. Like, are you really going to wait for that final BKB to be up? There's still about 400 gold to a Bart has it.
I think they're willing to let go of tier 2s just because they do have really good fight potential on high ground anyhow. Like Arena Egg cannot be underestimated in such a tight area. So they might be happy enough to just allow this Aegis to take at least 2 outer towers. Maybe hang on to the last one. That's the one thing I don't think they'd want to give up. They need at least 1 forward point to try to exert some map control here. Don't just let that go. You are getting space out for Joel to just snipe around top. And again, you're riding out a bot who does eventually hit that BKB. So triple BKB timings are online. It's just a matter of now finding that position. They will try for the smoke out. Their wards, not really giving them the info they'd want. It is mainly across the river and the triangle. 1 forward ward by the secret shop, but again, not anything to spot Aurora out. So We're gonna have to go fishing for this one. Joel is a good front line to scout with that scuttle. Issue is, there's a lot of sentries on the ground if he does decide to show up somewhere.
We'll wrap around the long way. Oh, Arbed, he could get caught. Cox, does he want to jump in? He will, but Arbed very quick with the BKB, and now they really want the fight. The Dark Ascension was already committed here from Jabs. So Jabs trying to find himself a target. Not seeing anyone yet. Will eventually spot Armel. Now a Bard also showing, but he'll start on Ponyo. The Earthspike going to land as well. Ponyo in trouble. They'll try to jump in and help out, but he's already down. Coxer with a nice arena, catching out Ollie and Q, who both drop. Palos and Abat, meanwhile, just man-fighting here, but Abat needs to back out of there. He hasn't got the damage. Abat's down! He tried to man-fight Palos, but he got destroyed. Zarmel now has no idea how he's getting out of here. He'll get through the high ground, pops his BKB, and just TPs out. So he's okay. But a pretty awkward team fight for Kukuys, who just again, like, it was all over the place. I thought a nice arena came out, but it was still very messy from their end of things.
It was. Quick BKB usage from Aurora as well. I think a couple of things for the Kukuys that led to that circumstance. They were turning around to try to clear out that medium camp while retreating. Like, they played it so greedy. It actually put Ponyo in the firing line. And this Phoenix is not the hero you actually want to be surrendering first. If any, you're fine with Joel dying on the Nyx. But you take this Phoenix away, you take away the Fire Spirits and the threat of the Supernova with your teamfight combination, your arena gets a little bit less scary without that egg follow-through. And it just kind of falls flat. Aurora, again, they just run right in. They might find punishment.
Yeah, Palos, he stuck around a little bit too long, I think, though he's still alive, and we'll lose the Aegis. So one life down. Are they going to help him? Surely they have to. Arbed's going to roll in. Palos just looking to walk away, but here comes the rest of Kukuys trying to continue this fight, but it's not going to happen. The cooldown will slow all of them down. And so you lose the Aegis on Palos, but I believe he didn't really have that much time on it left anyway, so it's not really the biggest loss. And off the back of that, they're going to smoke up anyway. They want to go again.
Yeah. BKBs are back up. Dragon Form's back up as well. There's not much to be worried about. Even Dark Ascension's not too far off.
Earthspike off the mark here from Q. Armel okay for now. Hex is out onto Ponyo, but Q's just getting destroyed and does go down as now a Bard. Learning the last time he cannot man-fight the Dragon Knight on his own. Oh, a Bard gets a BKB off eventually. Almost going down. There goes Jewel. A Bard needing to roll away. Morphs into the Earth Spirit form, but Jab's still on the chase now. We'll find Cox. But it seems like Palos wants to dive in for this Morphling. But he doesn't have anything to close the gap as Cox forced to just drop the arena to be able to get out of here. Jab's still on the chase. Meanwhile, Palos now being jumped on here by a Bard, but a Bard's the one going down. He'll barely survive. Still chasing down Palos, but Palos is just armor toggling through this. He will not make it though. He will go down. Jabs will make it out. But this time, they get too greedy.
They dive a little bit too far in. They don't respect Cox with the full shard having the control in the arena this time. And it looked a little bit dicey on the BKB pop. Heck, it looked a little bit dicey for a Bot playing so far forward with only 2 points in attribute shift. Only finally maxing it out now, opting for the stats instead. And that's why it's looked a little bit odd for the Morphling. He just hasn't had the fastest attribute shift at level 2. Still starting to mitigate some of those issues now, and is starting to work his way onto more stats. The Scotty's going to be massive in holding back this DK from trying to lifesteal his way back. You do have damage with your Conda as well. Some tracking onto Cox here. Stuns.
Cox is okay. Bart's hanging around. Like he'll go through the twin gates, not going to stick around here. Not looking for a easy burst play onto perhaps Ollie. Armel actually going to take out Q in the mid lane, so Q just kind of copying it with the Laguna Blade. Not much he could have done about that. Still a very close game between these two sides, I might add as well. Like just Aurora, I really thought this was going to be a very one-sided game, but it just has not panned out the way I had expected. The props to the Radiant side. It's just Armel and Abad have just found so much off this map. now an Ethereal Blade completed on Armel to make matters worse, so the burst potential gets even worse, and they're looking at Palos. Impel's gonna land, and they've got him.
Ooh.
It happens that quick.
Yeah, I thought Armel was going to take it easy in Palos.
No, sir.
Didn't quite go that way. You saw how cheeky Joel was trying to be as well, right? Looking for a cleave to hit his Spike Carapace to start things off. Doesn't really find it, but they're trying to eke out every advantage they can get here on the Kukuys. 4K lead despite being 9 kills behind at 14 to 23. You're reaching this point where, again, you're hitting critical mass on a bot. Once that Scotty Satanic is up, Morphling is kind of set to just take complete control. Tormentor, Joel barely escapes with his life. 100 HP, very nice for him as the free shard comes out for a bot of all people. And the next Roche, 2.5 minutes away. So a little bit more time until it's up. They left behind a tier 3 token. Fortunately, a bot does have his courier out. Very nice.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Very
attack.
nice indeed.
You like talking about pro players needing help, Mikey. I mean, you know, they leave their stuff behind before flying. They leave their stuff behind right before leaving the hotel or leaving the game house. They leave tokens on the floor.
Horrible.
These players, man.
How do they even survive real life? Like, what happens after Dota for these guys? They're just done. Just like, that's it. It's all over.
Basically it. You know, then you have people like Eternal Envy who just go on Twitter and lose their minds every other day.
Yeah.
It's either or. Either you fade away in silence or you turn into envy.
Yeah. I till this day, I don't know
Is
if
Joel
that's a good
stuck? His scuttle faded and he's stuck in...
Oh, poor Joel. He is stuck.
No TP.
What even is that? That little ledge? Like, what is that? Who puts this crap in the game?
Radiant are
Valve.
scanning.
It's good.
Dire are scanning.
It's useful, you see? Very useful.
I guarantee the poor guy didn't even know that little area existed before that. I didn't. Here we go. Roshan about to spawn in a minute. Fight to break out. Cox will show himself. Big wraparound here from Jewel as well. Seeing if you can find maybe a pick off there. Jumped in with the Hex out onto Cox. But Q is already down. They'll try to focus his egg down as well. The egg is down to boot. So Ponyo is gone. The chase is on. They want Palos. Palos already committed his BKB, so they've locked him down and they've got him.
Oh!
Without the BKB, he's really not that tanky though. Armel now gone as well, so maybe they can still turn this team fight with this Starbed and Jabs. But it's going to be a little bit challenging to deal with the bot here, I think, as they do take down Jewel, but Arbed, he's starting to drop low. Jab's trying to move into a bot, but a bot's going to just TP out. Do they have a stun available? They do not. Everybody had their spells on cooldown. But that actually ends up being a successful fight for Aurora somehow. Which is kind of crazy to consider, considering Palos did just instantly die.
Yeah, their issue is that you had Armel right in the firing line. He had to play a little bit more far forward. BKBs are starting to fade down now, especially in the side with Kukuys, just down to 6 seconds now. And a couple of things for Aurora. They managed to get that good jump, again forcing Ponyo to drop the egg in less than ideal circumstances, so the arena is just never able to protect. And they're not able to really play off of just a big arena spear instead. BKBs always fly on the moment Cox decides to open it up. The big thing for Aurora was that you did manage to force the issue with Q coming first. Right, so the moment he instantly got control onto Cox, it meant that the arena opener wasn't there, which provided Aurora the angle into the back line. Even though Alos was left behind, they got to dictate the rest of the team fight anyhow. They have enough damage coming in there on Abed and on Jabs. I do love that Jabs does have the Nullifier as well to help with the chase downs here and kind of taking away the power of eventual Aeon Discs coming out. Like, you already have one on Cox. It's not going to do much for him now. A defensive E-Blade just disappears as well as any sort of save possibility. Roshan is back up, and all heroes are back up as well. Now, only the egg, all the ultimates ready to go on top of it. So you've got a prime position for both sides to kind of gun for this objective. You would want to pick off first. Big spike for Palos, as he does have the full Satanic up. But you also have that full Scotty up anyhow on a bot. So you've got the back and forth counterplay there. You do have the forward vision out from Aurora, but Joel's also scouting out in the scuttle. So you have some angles here.
Such an important Roshan now. Abat, gonna be very cautious. They're gonna roll in. They'll find Jewel first on the next assassin, but Abat looking for Q as well. Q with the Glimmer Cape gonna survive. Abed, meanwhile, just causing all kinds of chaos here as he does go for the egg. No, they leave the egg alone. They'll chase down Abat instead. Jab's trying to find his own way out of here with his Night Stalker as he does go down. So already a pretty good start here for Kukuys. They will look to reset.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
But Roshan's still there. So I'm not sure if Aurora are feeling like they can try to swipe this away. It doesn't seem like they do, though. Instead, they're going to go ahead and address the creep wave.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Maybe wait out Jabs to respawn, but it's going to be another minute or so before he does respawn. It's quite a while. So perhaps Roshan has kind of just been given back the way of Kukuys.
Yeah, and you didn't even have to drop Arena on Cox. All you dropped was the egg from Ponyo. And this time around, the egg was actually impactful. Not focused down, very scattered.
Oh, they're
Fine.
going.
Still
Roshan.
trying.
It's
Ooh.
oh, Palos! Palos has got the Aegis. He'll pick it up. Swipes it right away from Kukuys.
Arena.
Ollie's down. At least they do find one. They might find a bit Abed as well. Abed will go down. Palos in the middle of all of this. Still trying to fight, but there's no fighting, I don't think. He'll drop the first time, and he should drop the second as well. I mean, a nice Roshan still. I suppose you deny the Aegis at least. It might stop them from going high ground, but still a pretty big win here from the Radiant.
This time, yeah, big changes for Kukuys. They don't have the egg to play with, but you get a very impactful Arena out from Cox. Again, BKBs, not really necessarily back up in that fight in time. As you can see, 2 BKBs are still set to go. Like, Abed's BKBs off cooldown. Palos did manage to get his off at the very least, but you had an angle here for Cox to get control. And it was very forced from Aurora. I'm surprised he didn't show much more respect for that control, for the fact that Arena was untouched in the last fight, and for the fact that Jabs wasn't there. He was still set to respawn. They didn't want to surrender the objective. It leads into a massive swing for Kukuys. 15k up their way, even without the Aegis. It doesn't even feel necessary for Kukuys. Like, they have all the confidence in the world now to start hitting high ground, and they've got the damage here with a bot. So long as he doesn't get dragged around and isolated away solo, they have enough to just get work done on some key objectives for now.
Yeah, in tier 3 mid tower under siege. Gonna be a pretty quick process once this cliff is over.
Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's middle
Take out one Rax.
Dire's middle barracks
Seems like they are gonna maybe just play it safe and retreat, as all the heroes from Aurora have now respawned. Suddenly one Rax up, 17k advantage. I mean, you love to see it. The squad, they're doing fantastic here, John. It feels like Aurora, they're out of fuel, they're out of gas.
Kind of boils back to a little bit of the draft, right? Like, support Gyrocopter doesn't achieve much for you into a late game scenario. You're scaling a Night Stalker. It's still relevant in utility, but it's not that terrifying beast that jumps in, gets a silence off, instantly dictates the fight, not with BKBs around. So it's just not as easy for Aurora to gun for these angles. Whereas for Kukuys, you have 2 hard hitters in Alina and a Morphling. You have insane burst damage on hand. You can instantly get a numbers advantage just by looking for the blow up. And you have good teamfight control.
Drop in again, Arena is down, they'll go for another fight. Looks like Q's already gone to boot. BKBs were forced out from Palos and Arbed as well, so it makes it very hard to hope for a defense here, as they are going to buy back on Q. Looks like they are going to commit for the fight once again. Jabs are going to be so cautious as Abat just doing so much damage with that adaptive strike. They'll move on to Cox. The Mars has been left behind, so Cox will drop as Aurora, they want to get more. Looks like they're looking for this Morphling. Abat, they're going to be able to waveform away, but Arbed is still chasing. Still trying to find more, but has he gone too far? There's no BKBs up. A nice Earth Spike though by Q may have just saved the day for Aurora. Had it not been for that, Abat may have just cleaned them up. He'll roll back in after Arbed, but he's gone too far. No, in fact, he hasn't. He'll roll away. They can't find him either. He'll TP out of there as Q was on mark with the Earth Spike, but he was not there in time. So 3 for 2 that time around. Props to Aurora for being able to punish quite nicely on the tail end of that, but I'll tell you what, it almost felt like they were going to get turned on had Q not land that 3-man Earth Spike.
Yeah, there was potential for Kukuys. A couple of small mistakes coming out. The instant refresh out from Cox, and the arena not really landing on Palos. That was also a very, very far chase from him on the Mars. The rest of his team was still tied around near the racks area, near the ramp. So a little bit over enthusiastic on Cox does lead to a little bit of a stumble for the follow through, and it does provide some time for Aurora to try to fix their lane, to try to find an angle back in and just kind of hold out. Still maintaining the 16k lead on the side of Kukuys is massive. Again, all of this is down to really a bot on his Morphling's farm. Going for the butterfly next. And Armel having some room to start to finish up. Oh, no. Jeez. That's quick.
Ouch. Yeah. It's very quick.
Oh. You know, Armel's still not showing mercy, as he should. Now, there's a lot in the line. We're in the lower bracket. You're up against Aurora, one of the top 3 teams in Southeast Asia. You want to go far in this qualifier run, of course, the Kukuys would. And they're certainly showing why you can't underestimate any of your lower bracket teams. Like, again, Aurora coming in, you'd figure they're the heavy favorites. You were saying it in the draft. I was in agreement. Like, it should just be Aurora, as we normally see, but looks like at least one game is going to be going to the Kukuys, and who knows about the next. Full AC up for Jabs. Does have a little bit more protection. That does leave him without buyback, so a little bit of a risky time now in these fights. One more set of racks here.
See range racks down. They're going to try for the Phoenix first. Arbed is in. The Phoenix, though, alive? No. Ponyo is now down. Jewel also being caught by a roll, but there's no detection here to really catch him out. Meanwhile, Bart has been stunned up. But he's still very, very healthy here as he will morph into the Earth Spirit now, looking back towards Jabs on the Night Stalker. Another arena down by Cox. Jabs somehow still alive, finally will go down. Arbed also in trouble, will roll out of there, but Palos, he's the important one. You can't really afford to lose him right now. He's got no buyback. Oh, this game's over if he dies. And I think he is.
Oh,
indeed,
yeah.
they call it. GG, well played. I was not expecting Game 1 to go this way, but I mean, these boys, John, I have faith in them, and they've shown me why. Aurora will drop Game 1 to Kukuys, and well, now Aurora, they're one game away from feeling amazing, you know, because he took it easy this game as well against Palos, of course. You know, it's gonna be great. We'll see though. Good luck, have fun, babies, again from Palos is what we're seeing. Palos, this man's got, you know, he's just too cocky. Too confident.
Yeah, same thing as well. Good luck, Beast Carry. Palos, for some reason, pointing out Ponyo, as it is probably the most random thing in the Kukuy stack that Ponyo is there. I mean, he did spend some time in Manila while he was on town, so fair enough.
That's all you need.
Yeah, you can consider him an honorary Filipino. A little bit of a long smoke around, but there is a defensive ward here from the side of Kukuys as it breaks.
Oh, Insanity. A bot. Run. Oh. I'll land the impale, but he's by the tier 2. It's a little bit too much. No dive. And they'll know the ward's been placed on the high ground as well, so we'll see if Aurora do want to try for the deny play on that ward. Otherwise, chances are it's just going to be taken out for free. I am questioning how well this Medusa is going to do this game. You know, I know I'm the one who brought it up during the draft, but it is still up against an Invoker. I know it's not going to be a fun time if those EMPs consistently land. You know, whether we're going to see the Lion Pugna sucking the Medusa at the same time. Like, part of me wants to enjoy the view of it, and other parts of me doesn't want to, because I know I'll probably hear about it for the next couple years, if that's the case from you. You know, just every game, you'll be like, remember that time, Mike? Remember that time we saw Lion of Pugna sucking Medusa? Remember that?
Look,
that's all I hear.
We had a game that we were casting where Life Drain went off 3 times in a row, right? Like, he was just constantly life draining on the edge at like top jungle near large camp, right where near this sentry is actually planted. We had a game like that, so I haven't been popping off about that, Mike. You know, someday, you know what, a lion and a Pugna sucking like that, it would be worthy of being called out. You can't deny that. That is worthy of being recalled 2, 3, 5 years down the line, 20 years down the line. When we're old and your kids are teenagers, they're like, you remember that mana drain, Mikey?
Like, John,
and the life drain. Do you remember that?
I've got one day to live, John. I've got one day to live. Leave me alone. Enough.
Get
Whatever
back
the-
into it and watch the game.
The end I
Yeah?
deserve, John. Dying in a hospital
No.
bed and John X Fire is talking to me about Pugner line. That's the end
That's
I
it.
deserve.
That's it. The last thing you see is not a light. You'll see a life drain.
Ponyo,
Oh, Ponyo.
he's not seeing the light either, Jonathan. He's down. First blood already for Jabs. And this is the thing. You're playing up against Visage. You know Soul Assumption's going to really hurt. You've got to be careful. Bottom lane in the meantime, Jewel also going down. Apparently only able to pick up a kill.
Yeah, it's a strong start for Aurora. Again, finding these openings they'd want. You have to be careful about bleeding out the laning phase from Kukuys. This is something we've seen from Aurora before, but laning has always been one of the things that kind of sets apart our top-tier C teams. And looks like Aurora has kind of shaken off game one. Time to find that aggressive angling that they'd want. And getting some good punish, especially down bot. Like, that death online is certainly not something you expect for Joel. Is having to walk back as well as he did TP, or tried to TP a while ago. The top lane, despite that death on the Phoenix, is still smooth going for the most part on a bot. And he is just going to be able to farm up anyhow. This is not the most aggressive lane in the world for the side of Kukuys. There's a lot of room for the side of Aurora to just try to play aggressive. Again, you can just try to keep pumping out the Soul Assumption damage and just keep applying pressure. You still have that great time with the death toll. You do still get some good farm, although it doesn't work as well as it once did. It's still highly effective, of course, in building up an early lead. We're taking a look at mid for just a moment, and again, for this matchup on the Invoker and the Earth Spirit, it is fairly stable for Abed. Like, there's not too much you can really expect there from Armel. It's down to Mouse again.
I'm telling you, John, these players aren't allowed to have wireless peripherals. It's got to be corded. It has to be. Because if you get the ones with cords, they can't mess up like this.
Yeah. I mean, they could. You know, they could be... I see some pro players be really aggressive when they, you know, swipe their mouse and slam it back on the mouse pad to be center. Some of them are pretty aggressive, so they could break their mice as well.
But it's a mango. Barely has enough now to turn back around. I appreciate how aggressive Aurora is being up at this top lane. They're really just not allowing these two to feel comfortable on the side of Kukuys. And I mean, that's the way they play with the Visage early on. Just keep going at them.
Yeah, that's all you need. Just constant pressure coming in. Again, this time around, Q is actually just camping lane as well. He's still going for the Mind Flares, but he's looking for angles to set up, to apply pressure for jabs. So it's a little bit more active in this lane for the Nyx, which is something you like to see. The bot lane has still been a little bit back and forth. I mean, outside of that kill, Cox has managed to start getting back into the farm game at the least. He's building up. And again, there's this nice threat that's very easy to connect as we get another... What's wrong with your mouse, Armel? Come on, brother.
Well, what's it need to disconnect for if it's his mouse? I've never had to disconnect if my mouse... You know what? I've never had a mouse issue, John, I'll be honest. Right? What's that? What is it, John?
Oh,
what?
you say Joel's saying he's grabbing some rice. Extra
What is
rice.
it with you? Why do you guys just eat rice nonstop?
Because we do. What do you mean? It's nice, cheap sustenance. It's a key part of the Filipino diet.
I only bring it
And
up
Palos
because
is saying still eating while it's still in game. Full of himself.
and here we go. Now Bart's talking about rice. That's this is the thing, and people are gonna think I'm having like some racial connotation. I'm not. The reason why I'm bringing rice up here is because every time John X Fire and I go out to eat when we're on LAN, if the restaurant doesn't have rice, he will be very upset. He'll never shut up about the fact that they don't offer rice. And to give you an example of that, we go to McDonald's, he gets upset that they don't offer rice. Like, John, it's a burger chain, John. It's not meant to offer rice.
Not in Southeast Asia. Look, they had one great pad kapow chicken in Thailand. Specifically, it was Thailand. I was really disappointed because I had that great chicken the first night, Mike. They never had it again. They had the plain chicken. It didn't come with a sauce, and it didn't come with a rice. You know, it's just incomplete, Mike. It's incomplete.
Can I be honest? Could I be honest? And I feel kind of embarrassed saying this. But that one night where you did have that dish, that what do you call it? Something kapow? Or what? How do you pronounce it?
I think it's supposed to be pad kapow chicken. Yeah.
Pad kapow. Okay. Well, the one night you did have it and you really enjoyed it, and the next night we were ordering food and they didn't offer the rice and the sauce.
Yeah.
I never admitted it, but I was genuinely so happy. I was so happy. Because
Why?
it just annoys me that every time we order food, you have to get rice. And so when they didn't offer rice anymore, I was genuinely so happy. I don't know. It just tickled me, you know, John. It gave me a little boost. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I understand there's not a lot in life to make you happy, Mike, outside of other people's suffering. I do want to let you know there is a country of 110 million people that agree with what I do. There's a region of about 1 billion people, around about, I believe it is around 1 billion people in Southeast Asia that would agree with me as well, Michael Phoenix. This is rice country you're casting in. You're not going to find any sympathizers for the potato lovers here.
Potatoes
we love
are
our
easy
French
to grow
fries.
too, John. You guys are wasting time. Potatoes are easier to grow.
Look, we love our French fries. We have a potato corner in almost every corner. We love those fries. Would we replace our rice dishes with fries? No. Pad kapow with fries? That's sacrilege. That's pissing me off right now, thinking about pad kapow with French fries. That's not right, Michael Phoenix. It's wrong. It's bad and it's
I just want to
wrong.
make it clear as well. Potato corner sucks. I don't enjoy it at all.
Have you had it?
Yeah,
Have we?
didn't like it.
You don't like flavor in your fries? You don't like the shaker fries? You just like the
It's not
Oh.
good flavor.
Wow.
They don't have good
it's
flavor.
too
I'm just
good
gonna
for the
say.
Australian palate. Oh, I'm sorry that the third world country doesn't provide the flavors that you would experience in Australia, Mike.
Oh.
We're going deep in this one. Oh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, in fairness, they were paused for that long. Q? Q's just checked. Maybe Q's mouse is broken. He's still chasing Ponyo. Eventually does back off. So Arbed gonna have a bit of contest here with Ponyo over the water rune. Does manage to get it on the Phoenix, but Ponyo may have just sacrificed himself for this, and he does. It's a bit unfortunate for Ponyo.
that it is. A strong 3-0 start for Aurora. And taking away the water rune isn't even that important either up against the Invoker. It's not like a big deal for Abed to try to top up a bot, but he doesn't care. He's got his double rate bands up. Roll from Armel also falls flat, so no aggressive play on top. And this is when the Invoker really starts to dish the damage. Double rate band, even just a glove of haste up, level 5, level 3 on the quas. Lots of sustain for right click trades. And there's no sign of relief coming out here from Kukuys anytime soon. Maybe you can get some movement out from Joel, but even our Lion's still stuck at level 2 himself. After a little bit of a slower time down bot, they're still trying to
Ponyo.
pressure mid.
Yeah, and Ponyo's trying to get a D-ward off here, but it may cost him his life if he's not too cautious, but looks like he has Icarus Dive. He'll commit and be off on his way. He's really just trying to get that Observer Ward in the mid lane, but he's not really going to get there, and sadly for him, it is expiring in 35 seconds, so chances are he's never going to get it in time. Meanwhile, Q, though, has been rolled on by Armel, and it seems like Q probably will fall, though he'll try to make it as hard as possible to kill him off, but Armel gets him anyway.
Nice little consolation prize for the side of Kukuys to find. This free space is providing some leeway for a bot to at least keep up and farm. Like the solo pressure onto Dusa from a Visage isn't really there, especially as we're at level 5 now, so there's a lot more to play with here for a bot. They're still keeping a lot of emphasis on mid, especially from Kukuys. They're still keeping Ponyo around. Again, you can't really do much anyhow in the Dusa lane. So you might as well make yourself useful elsewhere. Nice Invis rune for Armel. Might lead to some rotations into other sides of the map. I believe some opportunities could present itself down bot. You have, again, some decent damage from Cogs, but it just doesn't feel like Armel's that comfy, at least until Magnetize in the end.
Arbed's not too comfy right now. John Armel looking very comfortable as they make the jump in. Arbed, though, still alive, and a nice impel from Q is going to put an end to all of it as now the rotations are in. Jab's chasing down Ponyo. Arbed still does go down. Armel able to get the kill with the Magnetize. But Armel now needing his own way out of here.
Radiant's top
It looks like
tower
he is going to be okay to retreat. But my goodness, just the rotations real quick to ensure that they got some form of a trade. So a mid-invoker for the support duo of Kukuys, not really too bad either way. And the invoker kill, I believe Arbed was well and truly out of range for the XP, so you don't really get too much out of that kill.
Not the best in terms of trying to snowball more, but you'll take what you can get on Armel. Just a little bit more gold to play with. Yeah, equalizes with the Invoker in terms of net worth. Does catapult him into number 2, tied in with a bot. And kind of keeps the game at an even haul considering, again, how topsy-turvy this laning phase has been. 5-2 start. Aurora, again, not looking too shabby. Most of this gold early on is going on to jabs. As that early timing with the drums up, so the Filmmakers will do a lot of work once they're allowed to focus onto an objective. And for the Kukuys, they're not looking to play too aggressive. Or, we're not going to be seeing anything like a gate rotation out from a bot. The Deuce is probably one of the worst heroes to try to go for a gate rotation anyhow. But it is a lot more passive from that safe lane. And Armel is still trying to work into that blade mail anyhow. So as long as this game is passive on the safe lanes, Palos is going to be chuffed enough to just sit back and farm. He is going for the more aggressive Orchid buildup on the Spectre, so he does want to join in for these early fights rather than going for something like the Blade Mill for farm. We do get the disconnect from Cox, so we will get another pause.
Oh. Yeah, these guys...
You know what it is? No, you know what it is? Armel grabbed some rice a while ago. It's Cox's turn to go to the rice cooker. Grab some rice himself.
Oh.
Great. It's great. They're hungry boys, Hungry boys.
Well, they can win first, John. Winners deserve to eat. Only winners. Well, why even eat if you're not winning?
Well, now that's one way to go on a diet. I don't think it's worked for any of our pro players yet, just fortunately.
Thank you, Palos. Palos is asking the real questions here.
Okay, internet issues for good old Fox. Fair enough.
That's all right. That one we can forgive.
Yeah. It is the Philippines. Wait, but Palos is saying he thought he was checking if it was even. What do you mean even?
Even?
Oh, even, yes.
Oh.
Don't trash talk him already. He's already ugly, says Armel.
Oh.
No need to trash talk on Fox.
No, nobody's safe from Armel today, not even his own teammates. Oh, Armel's just having a great day.
Yeah. It's like he's on fire. He's firing all the shots, Mikey. And he's had his rice, all right? He's energized. He grabbed his rice a while ago.
Is there? There's not... Rice isn't that nutritious, is it, John?
Just like potatoes aren't.
No, they are. They are. That's a myth. Potatoes are actually very nutritious.
Sure.
That's a myth.
All right. Fair enough.
Well, why do you get upset that potatoes are more nutritious than rice, John? Why does that bother you?
I mean, they're just starchy, carby sources of carbs, mainly. I mean, there's probably more trace nutrients, sure. They're all just carbs. They're still not the ideal. They're nice, cheap energy. That's what they are. Cheap energy.
Well, they used to be cheap. Not these days, Jonathan, I'll tell you.
Maybe not in Australia, Mikey. Maybe not in Australia.
Well, they're John, like, Australia's gone crazy. I mean, obviously, as we use the Australian pesos in Australia, Jonathan, and I'll tell you what, it's kind of ridiculous now. Like, I went to the shops the other day to order a bag of potatoes. It was literally like a 2-kilo bag, and it cost me like I didn't pay for it, I should say, but it was like $10. It's like 2 kilos of potatoes for $10. How crazy is that?
10 Australian dollars. Let me get some perspective here. I'm trying to figure out it. You know what? For some reason, that's not. Wait, you know what? I don't even know the price of potatoes in the Philippines, so I can't even say.
Oh,
It doesn't sound the worst thing in the world. To be fair,
it's bad. It's really bad. Like 2 kilos, John, for $10. That's ridiculous. What are you talking about?
I'm not sure. I don't shop for potatoes, Mike. When I buy potatoes, it's like maybe 100 grams each time, or 200 grams each time. Just like four tiny potatoes. We don't chomp down on potatoes like you do, unless I make like mashed potatoes sometimes. Then it's like maybe a kilo or so. We don't buy that many potatoes, Mikey. We buy sacks of rice, although not really. We get shirataki rice in the house, or brown rice, black rice. That's pretty good. That's a little bit more
shirataki rice. Well, what's shirataki rice?
It's stuff shaped in rice. So it's
what?
It's low carb.
Oh,
It's low carb rice. It's not bad. The wet shirataki rice is pretty bad. It's really chewy. The dry stuff has rice flour, so it's not fully low carb, but it's a lot more palatable. And that's what we go for. Pretty nice.
Sounds it. We do have the go-in ready. I was being sarcastic in case that wasn't obvious, John, by the way. Doesn't sound very nice.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It has a little bit more bounce in the rice, but it's not too bad, you know? It's enjoyable enough. It's not as sweet as plain old white rice, but you know what is sweet is the fact that we do have the game back. It's been 8 minutes. It feels like we've been in pause for at least 10. So there is that factor to consider as well. 5-2, 1k lead still standing for Aurora. Again, most of this farm hanging on Jabs, who's really had a free time up top. Again, has the drums going for the Aura build-up into the pipe, and is set to kind of just get to that point nicely. They haven't been able to really pressure out Palos too hard either on this Spectre. He's just been free to hang down bot. And we are still a ways until Q starts to hit level 6, but again, once you have that Vendetta scuttle around with the Shadow Step, things start to get a little bit spicy for Aurora. The pace should kick into full gear at that point. It's just a matter of hitting that point, which, again, it's felt like 19 minutes, but the game has only been on for 9, so yeah, we're not quite at that point yet. They do have quick shove, of course, with Ollie around with a Nether Blast. A bot.
Maybe getting a bit too far forward. Gonna be caught with his pants down and immediately bursted down by Q. Ponyo will be following him very soon to the graveyard. And Jewel will also go as Q will pick up a double kill on the Nyx Assassin of all people. And of course the mid-tier, or rather top tier 1 tower, not gonna be surviving. So we'll be taken down quite quickly here by Aurora.
Yeah, they get the connections they'd want. They finally get some utilization out from the Shadow Step as well. And for the side of the Kukuys, there's no presence yet. The Cox is not going to be rotating around just yet until maybe the Kai is up. At least has some form of mana sustain with a full Arcane Boots up, but still a ways off from that quick timing where the Timbersaw can rip heroes to shreds. Armel also still looking for that full Blade Mail, so no one really set to go. Again, in stark comparison to Jabs, just with the drums, this Visage is willing to put in the damage. You've got output on Ollie. You've got some save potential coming in from Aurora. You have that early tier 1 advantage, so they can start to dip a little bit into that top jungle if they so wish. They are setting their sights onto mid. And this siege does not take long. With Visage and Pugna, the objectives will just melt. You don't have the best defense here on the side of the Kukuys.
A Jewel, mid lane, being caught out here. Palos right on top. We'll find a quick line kill. They did clip Armel with a tornado, but it won't matter. They just want the mid-tier 1 tower, and man, Aurora, they are playing very fast this game around. No messing around from these boys. All 3 cores at the top of the net worth board, and they are right into that mid-tier 1.
And again, you just don't have anyone that can come in and help you out. Like, Cox isn't ready to try to make plays. Armel missed the roll a while ago. Doesn't really have an opportunity to try to kick back. The tier 1 will stay alive for a little bit longer at the very least. But they really aren't finding the aggressive angles they'd want to here on Kukuys. 9-2, 2k up for Aurora. They're getting some decent forward vision as well. They've got all the sentries to try to protect some Nyx rotations down the line. They've got level 6 up on Q. Vendetta's ready. Shadow Step not too far off the cooldown, so another play could come in. And it just goes back to what we were talking about with this kind of draft coming out for Aurora. They can always just play this hit and run style. A bit of a smoke out from the Kukuys though. They've got level 6 as well on Joel. So they could look for a quick little burst with a finger play. Just a matter of finding a target. No one showing up where they set vision. And no one dipping into this area anytime soon. This is the only part of the map they have forward vision on. So someone needs to kind of step out.
Arbed. Smoke broken. Armel gonna just go right through, but actually misses out. EMP actually landing as well on Jewel, so Palos will happily jump in. You can't underestimate how quick the Shadow Step can come in. Like, it's a very low cooldown. And every time Palos sees the opportunity, he'll take it.
And he will. A little bit unfortunate for Armel. That's like 2 out of 2 rolls now that he just hasn't been able to connect. And that does provide enough spacing to clear out the mid, opening up, again, deeper reach for the side of Aurora. Q still hanging around in that Vendetta as well. Doesn't have the backing of the Shadow Step, still half a minute away. But you already did the damage anyhow. 10-2, 2k lead. And Kukuys is just looking a little bit lost. Again, still needing much more on Cox, but at least with Akaya, his damage is starting to get in there. One saving grace as well is that Abat's been left alone on the Dusa. So the Manta style, it's not too far off. You've got the Diadem, you've got the Yasha already up. And just about 600 gold for the full Manta recipe is going to be nice. The issue is if this is going to even be a good game for Abat. Because again, there's EMP on hand. There's a lot of ways to just drain the mana of this Dusa. Whether or not this investment will pay off it remains to be seen. And I think just this early tempo loss for Kukuys does not feel great. You've got an Earth Spirit who really hasn't had too much impact. He's not been able to get rotations off. You've had a Timbersaw who's been happy to soak up space, but not really create space by virtue of his presence. You haven't slowed down any of the cores on the side of Aurora. You've got the full Orchid up for Palace on the next Shadow Step, which is up. They just need to kind of find a target. And again, Vendetta's ready on cue. Like if they get a sneaky movement out, maybe catch out a bot, this game goes sideways, even more sideways, right quick for Kukuys if they're not careful.
I mean, I think the thing is that the one saving grace right now is the fact that Abat and Cox have literally just been missing off the map farming. So I guess the game plan from Kukuys is to just play very slow, ignore what's happening on the map right now, have faith in their draft going into the mid to late game. Aurora, on the other hand, not agreeing with that style of plan, do smoke up and head through the dire triangle right towards Armel, who roll right into them almost. Pops a Magnetize, I believe, but misses it. And Armel is dead. Nothing to save him.
No. And it's been a rough game for Armel. Whiffing some spells. It's been a little bit hard for him to get some good position out. Managed to transition into an objective again. All tier 1's gone now for the side of Kukuys very early on. 3k lead coming in. And all things considered, losing the Earth Spirit is probably not the worst in the world as long as it's not a bot. The issue is eventually they will be able to make a play onto this Dusa. They've got the wards to kind of watch top. They haven't been able to really snipe out a bot. At the least, a bot does have his Manta up. He's just going to go straight for another null, maybe just straight into the butterfly as well. To have some of his damage output ready. And we just need to see these parts start to connect. We do have the levels up. We haven't seen the finger yet.
Roll's going to connect on Arbed. This would be a big pick-off if they can get it on Arbed. In a very rare kind of bad position for himself, as the rest of the squad were too far away to try and help. That's a pretty big pick-off, and Cox will take it.
Yeah, very impactful that they finally get finger kill. They still have the egg ready to go from Ponyo. And you're ready to roll on the Timb with that Kai. Not too far off from his own save in the Yules on top of things. And that is equalizing. I mean, that's a 1k swing back the way of Kukuys, just off of one pick off. Again, they're not too far behind. The kill score looks atrocious, but in terms of farm pace, you're really not doing too bad here on Kukuys. You're still buying this free space for a bot. And the Dusa is, again, still set for this nice timing into Butterfly. Still, they'll try to smoke on Aurora. Again, they've got Shadow Step ready. They've got Vendetta on hand from Q, although it is fading. And only the smoke to really guide him at this point, but they just need to find one exposed hero. Maybe if they find someone in that higher jungle, but they don't really dip in there. Abat's still in a bit of a dangerous spot, though.
He is. Then Abat's the one moving forward. Gets a quick D ward, and that'll be about it for him. Q will jump in for a quick stun, but it doesn't mean too much. Again, I wonder how concerned Aurora are about the fact that Abat's still just freely farming. Like, yeah, you've got the Spectre, but I don't think the Spectre's going to be quite as comparable with, say, the Medusa once you hit the later stages. Yeah, I mean, he's just continuing to complete free farm here, this Medusa. No real stress whatsoever. Like, sure, you've picked off Armel about 1 billion times, but... Well, I say 1 billion times, he died once. It's Q, gonna jump in, they'll try to hunt down this line, but there's a lot of heroes around here. Q's still trying to burst him down, does get him, but gives up his own line. Interesting kind of play from Q to try for that, even though like there was quite a few heroes around to ensure he would die afterwards.
I think they were just banking on a little bit more from perhaps the Shadow Step. They did manage to bait out some spells right? Supernova's committed. No need to worry about that in the next team fight. And you do manage to at least be a little bit disruptive. Although, it is a bit hasty. Your lead is basically gone now on Aurora. 13-4, but only a 1k lead. A bot now number 1 in that fort. Eclipsing everyone else. Has his Eagle Song up. Butterfly 2 parts away. A little bit more time necessary, but he is starting to dish some damage now whenever he is allowed to just kind of sit there and get some right clicks off. And for Aurora, I get the confidence in going into the late game up against Dusa. I just feel like it's one easy fix for a bot. Like, he just needs to find himself really good Manta timing off the EMP, or just a BKB and be done with it. Still openings for Aurora into the Roshan. Not the quickest Rosh in the world, mind you, but they have the damage and space for it. At the very least, don't need to worry about any sort of shenanigans out from the Kukuys. They're going to have that secondary life ready for Palos early on, or Abed if they so wish. And for the Kukuys, it's just a matter of a turtle game. Sit back, keep farming up on the Stusa. Try to also just get bigger on Cox so that he's as durable as possible going into the full Eternal Shroud next, which is going to put a big stop to the burst damage that Aurora has. So your team can actually frontline at that point, and you can actually start to play the game. Lots of patience out from Kukuys, but and you're not really getting a lead on Aurora. Like, yes, you're finding objectives, yes, you're finding some pickoffs, but net worth just isn't quite swinging your way yet. They need more here on Aurora, and I don't know if they set up fully for it. Like, again, they had some forward wards a while ago. They don't quite have that vision reach right now. They've not been able to really get as much from the Vendetta, although this could be big if they make a move onto a bot.
See him. A bot completely alone right now. His team actually on the other side of the map, so the jump in is there in a bot. He is melting quick with that mana pool. And no way will he survive. It's the perfect timing as well, because the rest of the four were just smoked up at the top lane trying to find somebody else. But a bot just staying very far out of position. We'll get caught very quickly here against the Nyx Assassin. And now, I mean, even the Dire Tormentor is stolen by the looks of it.
Got the space for it on the side of Aurora. A bit of a mistake from a bot. Like, not really respecting, say, the Orchid timing or the Nyx scouting around. Uses the Manta, and that's just the opening they need on Aurora. Very patient out from Q and Palos. And that does allow them to drag the lead back their way. 2k up now. You're still up ahead on a bot, but that kill does set you back a fair bit. And, again, the tempo, despite it being a very slow game, is certainly on the side of Aurora. They got a nice deep ward watching by that Torm as well. For some far forward forays if they want to do that later on. Whereas the side of Kukuys, I mean, at some point this farm game has to stop. Like, even, it's fine for a bot. I just feel like you do want some activity out from Armel and from Cox. You've got the double Eternal Shrouds up in these two cores. You've got your damage spikes up. You've got your level 2 ultimates up. You're close to your level 15 talents as well. At the very least for Armel, you're kind of close. You already have it for Cox. So, it should be the moment where you should be gunning for more and giving more space out to the Dusa somehow. It's just not quite there.
So they're going to find another Ponyo to go down. Q may die for this, but he'll take it. It's feeding more and more kills back the way of his Spectre. Things still very good for Aurora. I mean, they're 3k ahead. It's still a matter of, like, are you worried about a bot? Because a bot's now got a full butterfly up and he's going into the Scarding next. You did see him die just earlier on, but his farm is still pretty damn high. I'm just wondering whether they're going to have what it takes to deal with the Medusa in, say, 10 minutes or so. You've got a Bloodthorn to come out on Palos, but I don't, like, yeah, you'll get the True Strike going for yourself, but apart from that, I'm still questioning whether a Bart's actually going to be dealt with in a proper 5v5. Like, we haven't really seen that yet with the Medusa.
I think it's all down to how well a bot uses his one defensive item in the Manta. As long as he's able to Manta off the Bloodthorn or at least Manta dodge EMP, you're fairly happy in these kinds of engagements for that Dusa. So it's really down to how well can you entrap here from Aurora. They'll try to smoke out on the side of Kukuys. They do have some forward wards in triangle, but no one's really showing up. Might still be able to get a good jump out onto Palos if he's not too careful here. But the scan actually does connect late.
Oh, Jewel with the Glimmer Cape going to get in range for the Hex. TPs are incoming to try and help out. Palos is still alive, but it doesn't look like he's alive for too long. He will actually heal up just a little bit. Still going here is the Spectre. Somehow still not dying. He'll get force-stuffed away. They can't finish him. Oh no, they can't finish him. Abart though, still healthy, going after Abed. Will take down the Aegis at the very least, but now Abart dropping low on mana. Zabit gonna respawn, wants to go back in for the fight. They'll burst down Q, but still, Abart, can he be dealt with? Abed looks to back off now as they do lock him down. Meanwhile, Cox looking for a little bit more, but they'll turn back towards the Invoker, who does get force-stuffed once again, and will make it out. It's Palos thinking about going back in with the Orchid up, but Cox, he will chain out of there. Do they want to try again? When Abart is less than half mana, but I don't think they're feeling... Oh, that's a nice Sunstrike. That's a nice Sunstrike. Armel getting caught with that one. Palos still chasing for more. Looks towards Cox, but Cox is not an easy target. So instead they'll try again for Abart with the Cold Snap. Tornado will not land this time. Abart still playing with fire, but he's caught in this EMP now with no mana left. Surely he goes down. Here comes that life drain, or rather mana drain. It's not going to provide too much, but it keeps him alive for now as Abart completely out of mana again. Where's that mana drain? Where is it? There it is, John. Look at it. It's gone. See you, boys.
It's such a topsy-turvy set of fights for Kukuys. And again, they just don't have enough upfront damage to deal with Palos. Same thing kind of goes for trying to deal with Abart. Like, he is fairly tanky now with just the Manta Butterfly. Palos wants to go ahead without jabs, which is, I guess, fair enough. You know, it is what it is sometimes. You just want to keep going. But I feel like your damage issues on the side of Kukuys are a little bit harder to repair than it is for Aurora, because we're seeing what happens. Again, you launch an EMP, a bot just becomes a sitting duck. There's a lot to have to be concerned about here on the Dusa. A bot is going to try to course correct with damage by going into the full Daedalus. At least that will start to help things go a little bit smoother here. I don't know if you'd really want to try to go for a break source as well if you're trying to make that jump onto Palos. Almost feels necessary. No one answering our admin, and we just get the go-ahead. So,
excellent.
No one wanting to tell why the pause happened, but it is what it is. Poor old Barry.
It happens to the best of us. It's all right. So does that. Palos will go... Oh, sorry. Ponyo will go down. Palos to secure the kill. Armel is able to roll out. Aurora's still trying to get aggressive. They'll get a tier 2 tower up at the top lane. In fact, they'll even dust up Jewel, but they didn't quite catch him. Jewel trying to get out, but no, the Impal's out from Q. Very nice. And so they will secure a tier 2 top tower eventually. Not quite enough, I don't think, yet to think about high ground, though. I think you're still at that stage of the game where you've got to leave that for another time, because you are still up against the Medusa high ground, so it's not going to be very fun trying to approach.
No, certainly not. A little bit curious about this build-up on Abart as well. He does opt for the Diffusal Blade into the full Disperser. So not going for anything like the Daedalus, wanting something to just kind of give himself another secondary Dispel on hand, just to try to run away. Nice move speed bonus to get his position right, which is very key for the Deuce in this game, of course. You are starting to slip away, though. 20-6, 6k lead for Aurora at 26 minutes in. A nice impactful lead. All of that farm now just sinking into Abart, and none of it being shared with Armel or Cox. So it has been a tough game for good old Armel. But even for Cox, like, his impact has been a little bit of a mixed bag. Damage has not been consistent enough. This Scotty, or rather this Shiva's pickup, will be something that helps speed the process up when they do decide to commit. We'll just have to see if it's going to be enough. I just feel like Aurora's been able to dictate a little bit too much in the past few fights. Again, you're still having a great time on a bot, considering this farm. He, for some reason, was queuing up another butterfly, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't quite want, but he might be feeling frisky today. We'll just stick to that Disperser. What I would like to see for a bot is just Disperser into Daedalus, or if he wants defensive, like, it has to be a BKB game. If he really wants to just stand there like a turret into off this control into the EMP threats, like, it has to be something like that if he's not willing to kind of just go full glass cannon damage. So I'm curious to see what his mindset is after this Disperser. Or, again, more than happy to just play this kind of game as well. You've got a Spectre to scale. You've got Invoker who is scaling into the right click for Abed. With the Mage Slayer and the Hurricane Pike already a nuisance enough, is going to have a Mantis style on top. With an Octarine set to come out with it. And his spell spam is going to be the bane of the side of the Kukuys. You just don't have a stable way of jumping in and preventing all of those spellcasts from coming out. Like, Joel doesn't have a blink, isn't queuing up a blink, hasn't had room to farm up a blink. Counting on Armel to jump in is also just tricky. It's been a tough game for the Earth Spirit overall. And that is leading to this rather awkward timing for the side of the Kukuys right now. Still, Roche is going to be back up. You've got control in the pit from Aurora. So you could opt for a nice quick Roshan for yourselves. They've got a nice forward ward watching right in that top jungle area right below, right across the ramp at least, to watch for any movement in. They haven't quite scouted Roche yet though. Maybe not expecting it to be that fast. But there is more objectives to play for. I'm just surprised that despite all of this, back and forth, despite all the kills, the advantage has been, again, shrinking down from 6k to 5k to 4k again. Like, despite all of that, you are still farming fairly well in Kukuys. It's just really hard to amount that to much just yet. We'll see if they can sneak in with a smoke. They could get lucky and get a smoke into Roshan. That could kind of swing things their way again.
We do have a Shadow Step in, but a Shadow Step right back out as well. Smoke's still here from Kukuys. Aurora will counter smoke. It seems like they're very well aware that this is coming. Roshan is now available. It does not seem like Kukuys feel comfortable starting it yet, as the Sunstrike will give vision of Armel scouting out the pit. The Bar will take care of that top tier 1 tower, and maybe now they'll start. And they will.
And they've got decent damage out. They've got the Disperser running, a lot of Agi up on a bot. They've got some room. Again, they've got some wards to protect. Sunstrikes are giving constant vision. And the scan actually falls flat. They're taking the left flank here. And they're still starting to come in. See how they take this positional fight, though.
He's going to hunt around. There are sentries here, so he does have to be a little bit cautious with where he goes. It's like a bot did run into Jabs there for a second. Q going to show himself now underneath the sentry ward. But all of the side of Kukuys just go right through the twin gates, expecting Roshan to follow them. And the matter is as to whether Aurora are going to be able to get there now to contest this Roshan again. And of course, they'll just TP down to the bottom tier 2. They know they can't use the twin gates here. And so in we go again. Roshan will once again begin. Roshan will roar to make it obvious. Jabs, he's got the familiars to try and scout out. Roshan dropping pretty low now. Aurora don't really have too much time to think about this. They've got to make their move very soon. Abed will make his move in. Cox, he will be the target, but he's okay with that Eternal Shroud up. Meanwhile, Stonegaze also popped as they'll try to rush Roshan, and they do. Aegis now on a butt as Palos forced to just jaunt out of there. Q, he does get caught. Nyx Assassin is down. Meanwhile, Aurora looking to run away from this Phoenix Egg will make it outside of range. Jab's having to go into that Stone Bomb to survive this Abarth damage output, but he might just be left behind as they don't seem to be able to really stick around to help him out. He's still just trying to get out of here, but Jab's surely set to fall. Ollie does also go down, and suddenly Kukuys is looking very strong as they have also found out Palos. This is the big kill. This is the one they really wanted, and I think they've got it.
Oh, Lord.
He's got no way out. Palos is down. Oh, boy. Aurora. Just dropping the ball, aren't they, Jonathan?
That they are. It felt like they had a good idea as to how to take this Roche fight, right? We've been harping on about stuff like EMP coming. You don't have anything defensive on a bot. You just need to kind of have an angle in and kind of be patient with the Manta style usage and kind of watch out for that to make this Medusa a sitting duck, but their angles just aren't clean. It looked a little bit wonky from the Kukuys as well, right? Like the egg from Ponyo, not the ideal, only helping to clear out Q really, but it's enough. It's such a scattered fight, such a split apart fight that you don't have a clear way of isolating away a bot that time around. That's kind of where Kukuys kind of shines. Just a very disfigured fight. That's what they'd want. A very chaotic fight that just allows them to pick you off one by one if you're not able to fully commit onto something like a bot. And speaking of a bot, he is going into damage now. Again, he's got that full disperser. He's going into the full Daedalus. His output is set to skyrocket. And he's felt untouchable in the last like 10 to 15 minutes at this point. Going for all the tier 2s now. One more outer tower to fall. Only one tier 2 left. Looks like a bot will want to clear it, but creep wave is shoved out up top with that Forge Spirit up, so not going to be able to get so much more.
They're trying. Sunstrike actually lands on Jules, so Abed manages to pick one off. But now he's in trouble. Q is behind to try and help out though. Ponyo does get caught. Will not go down though now as Armel does roll in looking for Q, but Q is out of range now. In fact, I don't know if they really want this fight. Kukuys is forced to egg up and try to escape. They were trying to move onto the high ground of the triangle. Abart just brought out a Daedalus, by the way, so interesting spike for him on the Medusa now as they will move in once again, seeing Palos. It's a great target to try and aim down. Problem is the Deafening Blast landing on 3 targets to make it very hard to keep this fight going. But now the Stone Gaze is out from Abart. He wants to keep the fight up. They'll chase down Palos once again, but Cox is the one in trouble. He's still alive though. He might make it out. Cox will survive another day. He'll chain out of there. Sunstrike. Oh, it won't land. Abed just off the mark. A nice attempt. Palos desperately trying to run, but now the chase is on from Kukuys, trying to find at least Jabs. Jabs will get caught. Jabs is down. Abed needing to run will cancel the role of Armel. But another great fight here for the Dire as they force 2 buybacks from the supports of Aurora. And these team fights, they're just looking more and more challenging for this Aurora side to take.
And it is. And again, even if a bot starts to drop low, it just feels like there's too much havoc coming in from the tanky heroes up front to provide some buffer zones for a bot to just keep hitting away. Like trying to blow up Cox at this point is really difficult. Blowing up Armel now is also just very, very difficult to find any of these heroes falling apart. And it's just down to the itemization. These Eternal Shrouds are keeping them alive for a lot longer. You have maybe a lot more armor, of course, on Cox, but even the durability of Armel, it's nothing to scoff at. And there's just so much space for a bot to actually just dance in and out, get some hits off. You still have this Lion that can drain you up as well, so the reset doesn't take as long for the Medusa to keep going. And that's the last outer tower gone. And I like this from a bot. He is just going back for the BKB. As the Daedalus just wants one more survivability item to bail him out if the Manta's down. The BKB is going to do a ton of work here in terms of just allowing the Medusa to just freely play this game. 21-13, 9k lead for the Kukuys and Aurora. There's no second chances here, Mike. If they don't manage to swing things back their way, if they don't manage to get this hit and run tactic back online with Palos playing with a Shadow Step, then that's it. You're already 1 game down in a best of 3. You're in the lower bracket. There's not much zone for forgiveness here, Mikey.
There is absolutely not, John. Kukuys now gonna head through the mid lane. Aegis will expire on a Bart though, so maybe time to retreat. Wait for the next Roshan. Thing is, a Bart is he's just an absolute menace on this Medusa. Like, look at his farm compared to everyone else. It's just huge. And they're still gonna try for at least the tier 3 top. At least force a glyph maybe, as they do have the Roshan banner still. That'll make life a lot easier with this double siege creep wave. So tier 3 tower gonna drop. We'll see if they want to continue committing. They'll start to chip away with the EMP at the mana pool of Abart. In fact, they'll jump all in, try to go after Abart. Abart out of mana still. Can he survive through this? It doesn't seem like it. He's down. They do at least get jabs, but they need to leave. They've lost their Medusa. It's a massive kill here for Aurora. As Cox having his chain cancelled with that cold snap. Armel rather going to move back in. Does take down Q. They'll drop the egg, create some space now as they'll find a 2-for-1. They are still trying to Rax without their Medusa up. It doesn't look like the greatest idea here for Kukuys, but they're feeling it right now. They feel like they can do it. But I think eventually you might just need to let this one go. They don't want to waste the Roshan banner. I mean, they are keeping the siege creep alive, so it is slowly but surely getting the job done. Still trying for Cox, but Cox is just so damn tanky. They'll cancel his chains again. Can they actually get him? The answer is no. He's alright to get out. But they already got the big one. They found the Medusa. They kind of proved that she's actually killable. And so now Aurora, at least not even one Rax down yet. Just a tier 3 tower down.
I'm just surprised Aurora opted to fortify in the last bit of that extended fight. So on the respawn of a bot, there's maybe a little bit of a window where if you win a team fight, you can still push.
They're looking for Palos. They won't find him though. In fact, now the cavalry is incoming from the back though. Ollie getting blown up. Oh, that's a big stun. That's a huge stun from Jewel. 3 heroes getting caught with that one. Abed is down. Ollie is down. Jabs is probably down. And Abad is back up. Uh-oh. I actually don't think you can kill a bot without Abed up. Like, that EMP is doing so much work.
No.
And without Abed here, without buyback, this could be at least 2 lanes of barracks.
It is. Again, it kind of goes back to this decision as well to fortify in that fight. You only had a Tirmidh pushing in with Earth Spirit. There was no need to fortify. There was no way that push was going anywhere else. And now you have to kind of face the consequence of it. They will have fortify back up with the Rax, at least refreshing. So there is that at the very least. But here goes the bot again. Still don't want to call it. Still don't want to call it. Paula says, wait for it. Wait for it. It's almost coming. Come on.
Oh, I like
Calm
this
down.
from a bot. I like this from a bot. I mean, these boys have been trash talking all day. And you know what? John, they've backed it up.
Yeah.
I said earlier in game 1, can Armel back up all this trash talk? Turns out he didn't need to back it up, John. Turns out he'll just 2-0 them.
Yeah, a bot saying now, what's going to happen, Palos, you know? Well, what's going to happen to you, man? You know?
Righto. Aurora management, time to call Savage up. Where's Savage? Is he free yet? Well, they've caught Jewel. At least Jewel's going to buy back. Jabs just backing off as a bot wanting to go for the Rax. Will be able to get it quite easily. Mega creeps up now. Aurora backs against the wall. They're going to have to try one last time here. Jabs, he does get the force up on the high ground. Cox trying to go right after the Pugner. Won't find him yet. They'll look towards Palos now. Palos getting caught by a stun. He's in big trouble. They'll decrepify up the Spectre. Life Train will keep him alive. Meanwhile, the fight continues. Cox now being targeted once again, but he's just so tanky. Can they deal with him? No, they cannot. He'll chain out of there. As Armel keeping the magnetize up and Jewel with the finger. Mega creeps available. Aurora. How do you make this comeback happen, I wonder?
It's a hard one to see. It's a little bit more reliant on the side of the Kukuys misstepping here somehow, which, to be fair, there's always an opportunity to troll. It is Dota 2. One small mistake can lead to a lot of negative consequences. It's just when you're 20k ahead, when your full mega creeps up with still tier 2 standing on your side, it is hard to see that swing back. Roshan is up as well, a safe objective for the side of the Kukuys to go for, and they are kind of setting up for it as well. Already in position with Joel, don't quite have the wards to back it up, but they do have at least have the cliff ward in the middle area of that bot jungle. They can keep an eye on potential counterplay into that area. I think there's a couple of things that feel like kind of complicated that early spike we were talking about the Aurora lineup having, right? Like, the rotations out from Q were fine. It was a little bit hard to back it up. You were getting some good smoke breaks. You were only really finding probably Armel. He couldn't really gap close onto a bot. But I think one big thing as well is that the buildup of jabs, like, it's very heavy on the aura, right? It leads into these wider team fights that really never came out. Right, like they were counting on maybe wider 5v5s being forced from the side of the Kukuys with this kind of aura play. You never really saw it. So the impact of the pipe when it was freshly bought wasn't fully felt. The drums were still useful for the push at least, but didn't really help as well in, again, trying to rip a hero apart because the Kukuys never gave that opportunity. And now with a secondary life on the bot, they're looking to knock on those tier 4s. don't want to mess around any longer, and Kukuys one game away from advancing into the next round of the lower bracket up against Aurora. I don't think anyone would have had this on their wish list here.
That really doesn't feel like it. Here we go. Kukuys showing us they were the favorites all along apparently in this series. Well, but out of mana, has the Aegis up, won't mind too much. He'll just pop the Stone Gaze and taunt them as they run away. Ponyo, however, he went in deep. They want to go for more. They've blown up the Aegis. That's one life. Maybe this is the fight that Aurora needs to force us to a game 3 unless they lose Palos. And they just may. Palos, he jukes them out for now. But the chase is on. Abad wants the kill and he'll get it.
No
Palos
buyback.
without buyback. It's up to Arbit. But Arbit's been chased down. Jab's looking to retreat. Arbit surely has no way out. We'll pop the Manta, continuing to run, but the roll is there and the GG is called. Aurora, they are leaving the qualifier. And Kukuys, of all teams, will be proceeding through the lower bracket. I can't believe that's what I'm saying here, John.
Yeah, it's